In today's video, we are going to implement the final part of the design, which is a news list. After we finish, we will publish our site into public for anyone to access.
Hi, I'm Juntao. I'm a software developer and an author. I have published several books on React, testing-driven development, and clean code. Once you mastered all the techniques we covered in this video, you will be able to handle all the complex web design. Like everything else, it always starts from something simple, and once you have the solid fundamental, like the basic skills, layout, typography, color, semantic HTML, you have all these build blocks. It's up to you to implement any kind of web page.
What is our first step? Yes, markup. We write the HTML first, based on the page structure on the right hand side. So this one is pretty straightforward. We have a heading and 4 cards and a control beneath, a button beneath. I guess when you in the real world, when you click the arrow down, it will expand it a little bit, maybe load more news. So we will put them inside a container as always. Let's say a section. We give it a name as news list, and inside that we will have a h4 as the heading line, and for all the tickets we will make them inside a container. Let's call it news container. And for each one, as it has an image and a paragraph, we will put them together or group them together. Let's call it a news, and inside the news there is an image, and after that is a paragraph. We have 4 of them. So if we now expand the image expression, we will get something like this, which is pretty reflecting the document structure. But with image we can do more. Actually, I will show you how. So for example, the news, we would like it to be a clickable news, so it will be an anchor, and inside that we will put it point it to the current page for now, and later on when you expand it, when you have the new actual news or link it to actual news, when you click it, it will jump into another website or different page on your site. And for the image, what I'd like to show you here is we can use the source, and you can point it to one of our assets. Let's say it's news -1.png, right? But the problem is we have 4 of them, and we would like to generate dynamically. For the first one is news 1, the second one is news 2, and so on and so forth. So in Emmet you can use $ as a placeholder, and when the Emmet expand your expression, it will insert the right number into that and replace the $sign, which is pretty awesome, right? And we also want to make it accessible as well, so we make the alternative to news $, and that $, will be replaced as well by Emmet. For the paragraph, we want it to be random text for now, so we use lorem 8. It looks like a 8 or 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 words, and then we times 4. And now if we expand this expression, we will got the whole content, almost everything. We just need to fill out the latest news, right? It's like we have a div inside it. It has 4 links, each has its own image and the paragraph, and the only thing left is the control, which is we will quickly put that inside the control div, and then a paragraph plus a icon. We just put it inside a button, right? and inside the button there will be a span for the icon. And yes, so for the paragraph we scroll for more news, and the span doesn't has a content, but yeah, we will fix that very soon. Like previously we have a star for that icon come from the Google font, but we now for example we can put it a star for now and see how it goes. That's all about the markup. If we look at the design or the page, it's something like this, right? It's not really what we want, but it's pretty close, right? We already have all the knowledge to lay out the whole section horizontally, so it's not a big deal for us. Let's quickly fix them. For the first thing first, let's put some margin for the news list. We will make it align with the rest of the content. And firstly, let's put a comment here. We call it news section maybe. And for the news list, we'll give it a margin inline. It's 1 rem, right? Yeah, it's pretty aligned. And for the heading line, H4, we give it margin maybe 1 rem. For the top and bottom, you can put it a margin block 1 rem, top and bottom to 1 rem. So for the news container, we will make it yes, display flags, and for each of them, what's the inside news, right? So we will make the news to have the flags 1. That makes the cards to lay out horizontally. And I guess the problem here is the image is always like it's too wide. We will need to shrink them inside the container. So inside the news, we want image to have the 100% of the width of the parent. That will shrink it down to the size we expecting. And for, I guess that needs some gap in between, right? So we will make, for the news container, we will give it a gap, maybe 2 rem. Gap is it has to be used together with the flags, and we will add in some gap in between, but it will not adding anything here. It's just adding the space in between, which is pretty handy. And now we have that kind of space here, and then we will adding some style to the image. We want the border radius to be 1 rem maybe. And for the description news paragraph, we want the font to be a little bit smaller than the normal font, right? And we will get adding some margin to the top. Maybe it's 1 rem. Let's see. Oh, it's too big. We'll give it a 0.5. Yeah, I think it's pretty close to the design. And for the control, this part, we'll move it control. Overall, we will make the text alignment to be center, and we will change the color to something very light, like CCC maybe. And yes, I think it's pretty much like that. And for the spacing, we need to make it a margin maybe 2 rems, and for the top and the bottom. And yeah, inside that, the control button, we don't want the border. And yeah, of course we will replace the image here, the icon here. So in Google Font, there is a icon called expand cycle down. We'll use this one, but it seems like it's much thinner in this design, so we will have to adjust the font a little bit. We will make it a little bit lighter, like we do that. And for this one, let's copy the font again, because we have already changed the weight of the font. We'll copy that again and replace our existing link. It just I guess it's just a parameter change a little bit, and then we will use this icon instead of the star in our HTML. So in here we use this expand cycle down, and we don't have to change anything in the CSS, I think. So now we have this little icon here, and we want that color to be lighter as well. You may be wondering why we're using this kind of button. We can just use the span and make it clickable, right? The reason is we want it to be accessible by keyboard. I will show you very quickly. For example, if a user who doesn't use a mouse on the page, they want to navigate from page to page, or they want to click some button, they can always use a tab. By default, the browser supports you to do that. You can hit the tab, and yeah, as you can see, the button is is flexible and it's clickable. If you press space K again, it will trigger the event. And if you tab, you can see here, or shift the tab to move the focus to the previous element, and the tab itself will move into the next one. And the button is all accessible. You can use, but as you can see here, it's in the login, and then you tap again, it's in the read more, and you tap again, it's in the next link or anchor, which is what we want, right? So it will, you can and at time you can press shift tab to move to the previous one. And then if you want to trigger the load more news, we tap, it will go to that section. It will not be able to do that if it's a span itself, or in a div, or in a section. It has to be some interactable element like a button or an anchor, which is why we use a button as a container of the span. So now let's try to deploy our website into a public accessible place, into a website. There are many different ways. I'm going to introduce two ways you can publish your site. So the first one will be the Netlify. That's pretty straightforward. What we are going to use here is pretty limited. We just use the simplest way to do that. You can add a new site here, and you can simply deploy manually, and just drag and drop your site into this cycle here. So let's say we have a folder like this one. We have everything in the game insider. So if we open this section like so, we can drag this whole thing into this place. But I'm not going to do that because I like the other way. So if once you put this here, and then after a while it will be uploaded, and then you can access that from anywhere. And another way is using the search. I prefer this one is because I like the command line, and I use that like for almost everything else. So because I have already got the search installed in my global space. So if I run search, it will ask, do you want to publish this? I say yes, please. And domain is, it will randomly generate a domain for you, which doesn't make any sense. It just avoid some conflict with others, because there are many other users. So now it gives me a domain name like this, and if I access this from my browser, HTTPS, and what I will get is this website. Look at that. It's exactly what we are developing in our local. Yeah, then you can share this link to your friends, to your colleagues, to anyone who you want. That's all we have for this tutorial. It's a relatively simple design. We have navigation, we have hero section, we have this kind of list view, and even it's simple, but it contains all the almost all the fundamental elements we need for any web design. This is very basic, but it's very important as well. Once you master all this technique, you will be able to reproduce any design by yourself. Of course, it's just a subset of all the techniques, but yeah, we have already covered some of the most common techniques, and I hope you can try to challenge yourself and reproduce some design by the technique we learned from this tutorial. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you found this useful, please consider to subscribe and turn on your notification, so yeah, any new releases you will be notified. Also, if you have any questions or comments, like better ways to implement it, or like you have some general questions, like you don't understand which some part of it, please comment below as well, and yeah, I will look through all the comments, and yeah, until next time, see you.